Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a simple teapot with some cosmos flowers in it. And this is going to be a one brush challenge. So I'm going to do the whole painting with one brush. Be kind of a fun little challenge. And I'm going to show you some brush strokes that you can use to practice using this one brush. And I'll tell you which one it is here in a minute. Got my husband, Mark.
Hi.
He's been in chat tonight, so if you've got questions, you can ask those while we're painting. And let's get started. What? Alrighty. Whoops. Let's move this down where you can see it. I can't see the whole canvas. There we go. Thank you. I need to see the whole screen now. Thank you. Gotta see what I'm doing. All right.
That was part of the challenge. One brush and half the screen.
Half the screen. All right. Let's get the reference photo up here with the palette. There we go. We're going to be using carbon black, burnt sienna. I'm sorry, burnt umber, burnt sienna, quinacridone magenta. Okay, let's just start over now. Quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, phthalo turquoise, or you could use phthalo green or phthalo blue, either one. This one is cadmium yellow light, and some unbleached titanium, titanium white, and some zinc white, which is a transparent white. If you don't have that, you can still use titanium white and get a similar effect. And then this is gloss glazing liquid. You could also use a matte medium or something like that. It's just got a little bit of an extender in it, and will give us a little bit extra drying time when we're working on our painting. Okay, let me fix my canvas here so you can see the whole thing. There we go. All right. Any guesses as to which brush we're going to use for this whole painting?
Okay, I'm gonna eliminate hair right now and tooth. So,
hairbrush and toothbrush.
Yes, I'm taking those off the list.
Good guess.
I'm gonna say 2-inch mottler.
No.
No.
Anybody in chat?
People are chatting. Somebody says a filbert.
Filbert, that's a good guess.
Good brush, not so good as a nut. But
I thought about an angle brush.
You thought about an angle brush, yeah.
The angle brush could have been an option, but I might. Are we doing drum roll?
Oh wait a minute! I think I might have a drum roll sound effect. Please hold while I try to find it.
Hurry up! No, too late. Get the 8 flat. Okay, so we're going to do the whole painting with the 8 flat. Think that it should do everything we want it to do. So let's get going on the background, because we're just going to cover the whole background. Really, honestly, it's not for a solid background like this. It's probably not the best choice. I would probably get a little bit bigger brush, or maybe do the whole background with paper towel or something like that, and then switch to it. But we can paint a round portion of it. So let's go ahead and draw our teapot on. That'll eliminate some of the background area that we have to paint, so we don't have to do the entire thing. So I think I want my teapot in here. I'm going to use just regular chalk here, and we'll do a rounded base. This is actually 2 photographs that I took, and I've mashed them together. So we have these little tin teapots that are really cute, and they're great for flower arranging. So there, something like that. And then on this side, we're right above where the handle is, so somewhere in here, about half, maybe not halfway up, down right in here, come out, and then out this way, little spout, attach it right there. Okay, there we go. And I'm just going to make this kind of believable there. All right, then we're going to have our cosmos in here. And I'm just looking at the overall shapes of the flowers. to get these blocked in. There were some white flowers in our in the first photo that I took of the teapot. It had white flowers in it, but there wasn't enough contrast, so I've been wanting to paint it, but I just haven't done it because they just weren't quite contrasty enough. They just didn't quite do it. So we'll do the cosmos here, and I may add a couple cosmos like coming off this side and maybe some greenery right here, and then a big one right in here that's got lots of petals. Okay, so that'll give me kind of a general idea of where to put my that is really bright. That is washing out my canvas really badly.
No, you weren't talking about me, sorry.
What?
That's really bright. I thought you were looking at me.
No. Oh, sorry. I'm just going to turn it off. Well, no, now it's too dark. Let me see. Let me try this one. That's on. Well, no, I need it on. I think just need it to be lower. Can't find my setting on it. I'm just going to move it away from it a little bit. There we go. We'll put it over there. All right, sorry, lighting issues there. All right, so let's go ahead and start with this 8 flat. I'm going to do the background, and we'll let that kind of set and dry while we'll work on some. I need to make that a little bit wider right here. Work on showing you some things that you can do with this brush, which is a lot. I thought maybe we could just do this as part of our, we've been doing the little Thankful Art Goals lessons, little mini lessons within each of the paintings this year. Started with the round canvas, doing a color string and different ones. Last week we worked on lines, and so this week I figured we could work on just a single brush, showing you how much versatility you can get out of one brush and how you really don't need every brush in the toolbox, to get decent results in a painting. If you know how to use your brushes properly and manipulate them, you can do all kinds of fun things with them. All right, so let's start with the teal here. I'm going to go pretty dark with the background. It'll give this tin a really nice glow. Get a little bit of burnt umber and burnt sienna here with the turquoise. And if you have phthalo blue, that's fine. You just do the same thing. Just use phthalo blue for this. You could add some yellow if you wanted to, but I might even add a little bit of blue. Okay, there we go. So we've got a color that's close to black, but not quite. I'm going to do it darkest here, and then we're going to kind of manipulate it a little bit, or, lighten it up as we go up the canvas. I'm going to just really press that in nice and hard to get that paint to go down into the canvas. And what I can do, especially if you've got a dry canvas, you can spray it with a little bit of water. That opens up the pores of the canvas and it makes the paint soak in a little bit faster. Not too much water though, because otherwise it'll make a soupy mess and you don't want that. But okay, that looks pretty good. This is again kind of a small brush for this particular portion of it. So this is, you could go a little bit bigger, but then you might have trouble doing some of the finer detail work in the painting. So I've actually used this size brush for entire murals before. It doesn't seem like it would be a mural brush, but like you can use a foam brush or even a house painter's brush for large areas that don't need detail, and then pull this one out to do your detail, But foam brushes are great for just blocking in large areas, so you could use a foam brush for something like what we're doing here. Save yourself some pennies. All right, so I'm going to go over that just a little bit. And I'm deliberately kind of leaving some brush marks, so I'm just going to go back over these areas if I've smoothed them out too much and kind of add in some brush marks. Okay, so right about in here I'm going to start to transition up into some lighter colors. Let me get around this teapot handle first, and then we'll start to do some. I was thinking I might do like either a yellow oxide or a burnt sienna, like a quinacridone burnt orange type of color in the background. So sometimes I like to do, start obviously with a color in my background. But I just ran out of time today, honestly. I tried to do one and it needed a second coat. And so we're just doing it like this.
And that's the number 2 flat?
No, this is a 8 flat.
Number 8 flat, okay.
Yes, 8 flat, and this is the Princeton 6100 series. So it's about I would say 3/4 inch maybe, something like that, maybe 1/2 inch. Yeah, I have so much. Okay, here, I gotta go down here maybe. There we go. So it's a little bit over a 1/2 inch, not quite 3/4 inch. So yeah, maybe 5/8, maybe something like that. Probably inch if you're looking at inches, because each brush, manufacturer has different sizing. All right. This will be good. Hope you guys are all doing well. Say hi to everybody watching us live tonight. Really appreciate you hanging out with us on a Tuesday night. I think we're going to be doing a poll coming up it'll probably be in my newsletter. So if you want to join my newsletter for that, and we'll be posting it on social media too. But want to see if, now that we're not doing Saturday shows anymore, we've gone to one live stream a week because I've got other things going on with Patreon folks and just getting to be too much to paint 3 times a week, every week. We are going to do a poll to see if there's another night that would be, or day that would be better for our live streams to happen. So I haven't posted it yet, but I will be posting that sometime this week, probably. So
looking forward to that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see from you guys what you think. I'm going to add just some unbleached titanium here, and as I go up, I'm just going to use that.
Okay, I have one more question, sorry, about the brush. So is the number 8 flat different from the number 8 bright?
Yes, it is longer.
Okay.
The only real reason why, and you could do this with the bright, and I'll show you, they'll work the same, but it is, it holds more paint, and it also will make a straighter line for me, or just a thinner, longer line. Than this one will. This one's a little chunkier at the tip because it's so short. So this one is a little bit more tapered at the tip, so it has a thinner, finer edge at the very tip of it. So that's really the main, and this one gives you a little bit more control, but this one for doing the flower petals, I thought that it would give me a little bit better control for the flower petals, so that's why I chose it over the bright, but really either one would work. It's a very small distinction in this case. All right, so see how we're just kind of very lightly kind of moving it up. So we've gotten some unbleached titanium and just adding that in. I'm going to go ahead and go in pretty far in on this petal because there's a lot of spiky brush strokes that are going on top of there's background showing through. So looks good, and I'm getting some of that darker just to add in to transition these two colors. But yes, yeah, I'm glad somebody asked that because I had meant to mention that really the bright would be just as good. as this
Yeah,
one.
because we see the bright in your brush guys list,
Right,
but not
right.
the flat.
No, and normally I don't grab a flat brush because I'm using the other brushes for the things I'll be using the flat for. So I would probably pick up a filbert or an angle brush or something like that for the flower petals instead of the bright. But in this case, I want to try it with one brush and show you what you can do with this.
Yeah.
And I don't feature this brush very often, so it's a good one to kind of talk about, I think. Give you an idea of what you can do with it. But yes, the bright would work if you don't have this brush, which I know you probably, some of people probably don't have. And you don't have to do yours with one brush. I'm only limiting myself just for the fun of it. You definitely don't have to limit yourself, so that if you can't do this whole one with the bright, that's fine. I would not call it cheating to change the brush out to something different.
Oh,
That
we'll be
works better.
watching.
Yeah, no.
We will know. We will zoom in on the picture that you
Right.
take of your
And be
painting
like,
and
that-
analyze the strokes.
That brush stroke is obviously not a
Exactly, that's definitely the
flat brush.
1/4 inch angle right there.
All right, so here we go. We are almost done here.
So we're in the hot mess stage.
Oh yeah, this is definitely the hot mess stage. Every painting, acrylics especially, I feel like watercolors kind of start out they're much cleaner. Like you're painting around things and leaving all your white areas clean, and so they don't tend to have a real ugly stage to me when I've watched people painting with them. They just don't seem to have these really awkward stages. But acrylics definitely have very weird looking stages in the painting process where you're pretty sure you're doing it wrong. There's like there's like a stage in almost every painting where I'm just like, I don't think I know what I'm doing here. And that's totally normal. So I think if you know that going in on it, into the process, it's a little bit easier maybe. I think I'm going to put this color in between too, because I feel like it's going to show through in some places. So I'm just going to kind of tap it around some of these flowers. I'm just going to end up with just all the flowers filled in. But there we go. Okay. Just working some of those brush strokes down. Okay, so let's set this aside and let that dry. I deliberately went a little bit more green with my color scheme on this because I want to do a triad color scheme. So my flowers are going to be in this red-violet range for that magenta color, and so blue-green and then yellow-orange for the centers. So I'm going with blue-green for the background just to kind of have that good triad color scheme for this. All right, so let me grab my practice page, and I'm just using a Strathmore mixed media visual journal for these. They're great to paint in. Just grab have some sort of a folder or notebook of some sort that you can paint in that, so you're not, messing up canvases or something, but you do need decent paper for these because otherwise you can have trouble. All right, so I am going to put out some fluid acrylic here. Let me use my Quinacridone Magenta because we're going to be using quinacridone for our, I left that cap open. Hope I didn't dry it out. No, I don't think so. My cap's dried out. Put out a good amount because I'll be using it for my flowers too. Let me get that cap to close. Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm going to use a little bit smaller brush just so I can fit my brush strokes into my area here. This one is a 4, so it's half the size of the one I'm using in the bigger canvas, but we've got this little teeny tiny space here. So, all right, so the first thing with the flat brush, different from filbert, different from a round brush, is that you can get really easy angular shapes. So like if I was doing a painting where I was using a brush for windows or something like that, this would be the brush that I would grab. So I'm going to do just a little square. Actually, let me hold it upright so I'm getting a better edge there. Okay, there we go. So there's our first little shape. You can get little squares. You can also do just like straight lines just by tapping the edge, and by using the flat edge you can get nice thin lines. I'm going to press my brush really flat so I have just a perfect thin line on here, and I'm going to turn this just a little bit so that I can get it straight. Remember when we talked about lines last week, we talked about having your brush upright, and this is the same deal for this brush. We don't want to be at an angle. For this, we want to be straight up over it, and I'm just going to use that brush, and I could go for a very long time with this brush. And when I do lines, I tend to like to use a flat brush or an angle brush for it because they hold so much more paint than a round brush. And because you've got this long flat side, you've already got this much line already straight. It already like gives you a handicap. You're already kind of have a good 1/4 inch there that is straight or longer. All right, so let's do this too and try to do a line that is curved with this though, but keep it the same width. So I'm going to keep it upright, and I'm going to keep my brush up over my line. Woo, I'm going so slow but there we go. So let me do it again, but do it a little bit. I'm going to do it this direction. Do it faster. See how much better I can get it when it's faster than when I did it slowly there. So let's turn this one into an S mark. So we'll pretend like we meant to do this. We'll set this down. We'll press down hard. And then as we approach the end, I'm going to lift, 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 lift. Try to get it to taper. There we go. So there's an S stroke. These are all things that you can do with these brushes that you should practice on your, just in some free time. If you've got a blank page and nothing else to do, grab your brushes and see what kind of marks you can make with them. Let's do a comma stroke. So for a comma stroke, you're going to hold your brush upright, start with it flat, and pull it down and around into a tapered point like that. Okay. I didn't even really do any pressure on this. I can get a bigger comma stroke by pressing down and then lifting, 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 but controlled lift and bringing it back around. Okay. And you can see when I press down that I got a more rounded edge. So let's try to get a good rounded edge. How do you do that with a flat brush? So you have to turn it on its side so that you're pressing the corner down. And so I'm going to have the corner touch the canvas and press all the way down and get those bristles to spread out for me. And then do the same brush stroke, but there we go. So now we've got this nice rounded. This is what we're going to use for our brush, for our flowers quite a bit. We're going to be using kind of an adaptation of these type of brush strokes. So again, but I want to press, one thing that you really need to have is your brush pressed flat before you do this kind of brush stroke, because what happens is you're pressing those bristles apart and you need them to come back around. So if you have a brush that does not have good flexibility, it's not going to come back into shape for you when you do this. So I'm going to press down and push back on the handles so that those bristles come back in line on themselves, and so I can get as much of a tapered point as I can. Okay, so when I'm doing my flower petals, I'm going to be doing these really fast in this direction, but I'm going to be kind of leading with that edge so that I'm getting, and let's go ahead and just do one flat. So if I do it flat, you see how I'm not getting that rounded shape because I set it down on its flat edge first. So if I set it down on its corner, I get a rounded shape, but if I set it down flat, I get more of a pointy shape. So, oops, I just messed that up. Let me try to press down harder. There we go. Fix that. Because I'm going to give you guys this so you can practice it on your own. I'm going to fix this because I want it to be good for you. Okay, there we go. All right, so let me see what. Then you can also do a circle. So let's go ahead and do a circle. For a circle, I'm kind of going to start with my brush a little bit farther up on the handle. Like for these ones, I was kind of holding it pretty close to the silver ferrule and keeping it so that only the tip was touching. But for this, I'm going to kind of hold it up a little bit away from the paper, and I'm going to push with my thumb and I'm going to rotate it in place. So I'm going to let's start here. Let's try to fit one right here. I'm going to set this down, and you can see where my thumb is. It's right on the edge of my thumb, right there. And I'm going to push with my thumb, but I'm not going to move my brush. I'm just going to push with my thumb till I get it to come back around into a circle. I did it too slow to get it right, but there you go. All right. Practice those. They're really fun. You can hold it farther up or closer down and see, what feels comfortable for you, but kind of, being able to manipulate your brush that way is really helpful. Then doing dots. So get your brush loaded. Now, when I do dots, I load my brush a little bit thicker because I'm not as concerned about having a tapered point. So I'm loading my brush a little bit thicker with paint, and I'm going to press down and see how small I can make my dots there. See if you can get kind of a good, tapered scale of dots. All right. Let's do a leaf shape. So let me set my brush down. For a leaf shape, I'm going to kind of hold it a little bit of an angle, but I'm wanting to go from here to here, right? And when I get to this point, I'm going to shift my brush upright. So I'm going to be doing a couple different things. I'm going to be doing this is the motion. I'm going to be setting it down, and I'm going to be pulling the brush in towards myself. So I'm pushing with this finger, pulling that brush towards myself, and at the same time with my thumb, I'm pushing the brush away. So it's kind of an interesting little trick. You're starting here and you're twisting it, and I would just practice it before you even go to paper. Just kind of hold it and see if you can get it to start here and end there, and then you're just going to set it down and twist your brush like that and get these leaf shapes. And then if you it's kind of a modified comma stroke. If you want to, you can kind of turn it down. You can do them in different directions. So let's do one going this way. Try them in different directions, because what you can do is put these together. And this is what we'll be doing with our flowers. We're going to be putting all these kind of different brush strokes together to create our flowers. Another thing that I'll be doing is doing some kind of mid brush strokes that are all kind of connecting together. So try that. See if you can get, how many you can get to kind of go and taper to the same little point there. Let me think. What else? And then square. Okay, we did a filbert. We did the leaf stroke, U-stroke. Okay, U-stroke. So the U-stroke is holding your brush upright the whole time. And I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to let the width of the brush do the work. Not twisting it, not doing anything. I'm just letting the brush do the work. And what you can do with this is, you can kind of modify the comma stroke. If you want to, you can kind of do it in a tight space. So I'm going to, for my petals. So say I have a petal that is kind of a rounded shape. I'm going to set my brush at an angle a little bit. I'm going to do this U stroke. And when I get to where I'm kind of, when I get to where I'm kind of tilted away from it enough, I'm going to bring it back down to the same point. And that gives me a little petal. Let me do that again. So start here and end here, and the whole time I'm going to be pressing up. And then as I get to about right here where I kind of want that that other angle, where I get to this angle, then I'm just going to kind of drop and pull it down on itself, back down. You can do these as big or small as you want. Let me see what else. I think that is pretty close to everything I wanted to show you, I think. This brush, let me see. Thin, straight, wavy. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so that'll give you some good practice brush strokes to work on. Let me see. Let me fit in an S stroke, a smaller S stroke here. So the S stroke is very similar to the U stroke, where you're just pivoting your angle. This one I pushed down to get it. So this was a different kind of way of doing it. So I sat it down and I pushed down to get the thicker line. And then this time I just switched the direction to get the thicker line. So try it both ways. All right, that's it. Let me call that good. If you do your practice and you want to share it with me, you can use it hashtag TAG23 for Thankful Art Goals 2023 flat. And that was with this was not the 8 flat. I need to fix that. This was the 4 flat. All right, 4 flat. What are we doing?
People are asking about your wooden brush holder. I had no idea what they were talking about.
Oh, yeah. No, I got that. It's a soap dish. It's a soap holder for your shower, and I ordered one for my shower, but I had 2, so I was like, that would actually work for my brushes. So I brought it in. I got it off Amazon.
Yeah, it's like
it came with 2, and I was like,
they're like the wooden brush. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So that's why I'm standing up, leaning over, looking. I'm like, oh, I see it.
Sorry.
So it's a soap dish.
It's a soap. It's a wooden soap dish,
So
but
like
it's got little.
It's like bamboo.
It's acacia wood.
Okay.
And it's got little ridges through it, so it actually works pretty well for holding the brushes.
Okay, so I need to order like 1,000 of them, and then just draw a stick pin on the back and sell it for like $500.
So, okay, there you go.
Artsy.
Mm-hmm. You need to paint pretty things on them. All right, let's.
It's a perfect tank shape.
Let's paint our. All right, so hopefully you guys are enjoying these. I've been getting good feedback about the little mini lessons that we've been doing. So hopefully you guys are actually using them, though, and practicing them, because I really do think that they are a great way to give you some milestones in your artistic journey things that you can practice and feel like you're and see the progression. Because sometimes, like, when you're painting, unless you're painting the same thing over again, which I've seen people do, which I think is actually really good exercise to try. It's like paint something that you painted 2 years ago, and then you can like be like, oh my gosh, I am progressing. I am like getting better at this. I'm adding ultramarine blue to my turquoise, so I'm going to use the background color, and I want that ultramarine in my vase, or in my teapot, though. So I'm kind of going to mix them both together here. I think that I need some black. It's just a little too blue. Let me use some black here. Yeah, that'd be good. But yeah, those just give you kind of some milestones, so you can go, okay, I've practiced this and I feel like I can check that off my skills list, kind of just some lessons that will give you a little bit of confidence going into some of these paintings, being like, okay, I practiced this. I think I know what I'm doing. And it'll, just being able to manipulate your brushes, I think, is one of the best things that you can do. Practicing these brush strokes, I think, will immediately show you better results in your other paintings, just because you will be able to control what's going on the canvas a little bit easier, a little bit better. All right, so I'm adding unbleached titanium, titanium white here. So I've got this blue that had the turquoise and ultramarine, added a little bit of black to it. Then I'm added a little bit of unbleached titanium here. Now I'm adding white here. So that's what I'm...
Color stringing.
Yeah, color stringing, yes, exactly.
And that practicing also applies to why I snack a lot, because I'm practicing eating for the main meal. So when I go into it, I'm confident that I can do it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
why.
I have never thought of that. Okay. All right, so here we worked on this a couple weeks ago, with the macarons that nobody watched. So you guys need to go back and watch that so that you can learn the blending, because that's one of the most important things in acrylic painting.
Hashtag shameless blade.
Exactly. Hashtag what's wrong with you? No, not that.
Shameless begging.
Yeah. I'm not too proud to beg. Okay, so I'm going to be doing wet on wet blending here. So I'm setting down my darker color here. And then while that's still wet, I'm going to work into my next color and add some of that. Wipe my brush off, get a little bit of the lighter color, add that. And you always kind of want to go next to the color and then blend back into it. So I'm not going right on top of where I want to blend. I'm kind of going next to, sneaking up on it. So I'm going to be here and I want to blend it into that color. So I'm going to start where I want that color to be the boldest. And then very lightly go over where that blend area is at. Okay. And we'll probably do a little bit of dry brushing on this later for some of the highlights, because I'd like to use the dry brushing when I have a highlight that's like in the middle of something like this. It makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to get the white though. And while this is still wet, I'm going to just kind of try to put some thicker paint down in some of these areas right in here. And then I'm going to wipe my brush off. I'm going to very lightly go around and blend that out a little bit. And whenever you feel like you've got picking up too much of that color, you can wipe it off. Okay, there we go. Very light touches. Very light. Because you see when I press down hard, I get like lines in there. So I think that's going to be good-ish. I think I want that line to kind of come out this way a little bit though, for the roundness of the teapot to work. There we go. Okay, so there we go. Let's get a little bit of the lighter color. Put that down. Sometimes starting with the lighter color is better, so because the darker, really does kind of overwhelm things at times. Using that corner of the brush, the edge of the brush, and pressing down to get those lines, following the shape. This is that S stroke that we did, where I pressed down. That's what I'm doing here. Pressing down along that outside edge to get my shape. Okay, I'm going to get my darker color. And I'm going to start up here. And I'm going to do my S stroke all the way down. Press down, press down, press down, press down. Then lift. Okay. And then just use the edge of the brush to kind of push it in, and then using the edge of the brush to blend it out a little bit, okay? These are all things that I use all the time when I'm painting. I don't always mention what I'm doing, you know, I'm kind of just doing it from muscle memory, and that's where you want to get to, where you're not really having to think, oh, okay, press down, press down, press down, lift, 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 you know, you're just doing it. And the more you practice it, the more it'll come to you much more easily, and you won't even really have to think through it. You'll just do it. So that's where you want to get to. You want to be practicing so much that when you get to that actual point where you're having to do it, that it's super easy and you can do it without even thinking about it. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of, just trying to get a little bit more of that dark color here. I'm just going to go down here. I've kind of wiped most of the paint out of my brush, so I have very little on my brush here. I'm just kind of brushing it through, and I want a little bit of this darker color right here where this comes up. This is where you might, you know, decide that it's a little easier to use a smaller brush. So this area, this is why I didn't use the 10 round, because I knew I was not going to be able to get in this detail in here with a bigger brush. So just...
And yeah, and that's what you said before, that you want to use the largest brush you can
Yes.
to still get the details you want.
Yes.
So.
Yes, because it does make the painting go a lot faster if you use a bigger brush. Makes it go faster, and you actually get kind of more deliberate looking brush strokes too. If your brush strokes show, it's just kind of a little bit more of a painterly, interesting look, I think. All right, so there we go. I'm going to get a little bit of white here and just add a little white right there along that edge where that attaches, and then I'm going to bring this around here, clean up that outer edge right there. Okay, so this is dry brushing here, where I'm kind of flicking this color, and you can see how it's kind of catching the texture of the canvas. This is dry underneath here, so what I'm putting on top is kind of going on more dry. Let's do a little bit of that over here. Very light touches, and just brushing through so that that texture of the canvas is kind of showing through. Let's bring it up. Okay. A little bit of the lighter color. And we'll probably glaze this too. So we'll do a few of our blending techniques that we used last, or on the macarons on this one. All right, that's looking pretty good. Well, we're gonna need to let that dry, and we'll do some flowers now.
About time.
We promised flowers. What's happening here? Okay. We're making good time. It's only 45 minutes in. We're doing good. What are you talking
Really?
about?
That's it? Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Well, I mean, you know, usually just need to get to the flowers right off the bat. I mean,
That's true.
didn't you say like you do the eyes so that, you know, motivates you to do the rest?
Yeah, but with flowers, you kind of have to do back to front. Gotta get your background in first. All right, so I'm gonna mix up some green here. And since my background is so dark, I'm gonna go a little bit lighter with my green so that it shows up. Whenever you add white to your green, you can see how it made that green kind of chalky, kind of a sage kind of green. So to brighten it back up, I'm going to add some more yellow. There we go. So we're getting a Nice color there. So I've got a dark and a medium green here. Let me see how this looks against. I still don't think it's dark enough. No, it's not. It's not going to show up. So maybe what I want to do is do a darker green for this upper area here, and then we'll have some pops of lighter green. So I need to rethink this. Let's go ahead and do a darker green. I'm going to get more of my turquoise and just a little bit of my yellow this time, and not add any white. Okay, so let's try that. So I'm pressing my brush flat, and yeah, that'll work. I'm gonna just use this to create my line on my stems. Most of these are actually not showing the stem, but I do want a few kind of grassy type stuff coming out just for interest. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a few little colorful flecks of leaves and things. You see how this darker color is not showing up at all against this background. So I'm going to get my lighter color that I'd mixed, and over here I'm going to do the lighter color. Right, and I still don't think it's light enough. I think I need to go quite a bit lighter. So getting some white and some yellow here. Here we go. There we go. Now it'll show up. Right, just experiment and see. Depends on, you know, what's going on in your background. But you kind of want, you probably want a mid-tone, light and dark tone, and your mid-tones may not show up if they're the same value, and by value I just mean dark and light. So my background is, you know, kind of in this range-ish, and then in this area at least, you know, and darker as we go down. But if I put a color that's this value next to it, it's not going to show up very well. But if I put a color that's this value, it'll show up better. So that's what I'm doing with these light greens. And then this light green here is kind of closer to this value probably, or maybe this one. So, and then you know it'll show up against that background, that dark background. Okay, so just kind of adjust what you're doing depending on your background and what you want to show and things. Right, so this brush stroke is kind of, I didn't really show the kind of flicking motions of grasses. I could have done that with our practice. So you can do like a whole section of kind of grassy type leaves if you want. I'm gonna do a little bud here. So I'm gonna do kind of this little round circle area, just using the corner of the brush there. And I think I want some small little kind of leafy greens. So I'm gonna get some yellow and unbleached titanium here. I still have a lot of green on my brush. I'm just going to put some little leafy shapes in here so that I've got something other than just my cosmos back in here. Okay, that looks good. All right, so let's clean that out, and I'm going to put in a little bit of a nub where my flower base of the flower. Right there, just kind of like a little V shape. That's the only one that's really showing. The rest of them are kind of not at the right angle to show what's happening in the at the base of the flower. Well, this one's got a little bit of it, so let's go ahead and do a little bit right there. Okay, that's good. Clean that out really well. Don't want any green in here. I'm going to go ahead and get this magenta that's already fluid. This will make it a little bit easier for our brush strokes that we're doing on our flower. I'm going to get some white, mix that in, and so on my kind of purpley toned ones, I'm going to get a little bit of ultramarine blue and add that in. This is the third year, I think. Last year was the second or third year that I did cosmos in my garden, and they are so easy to grow. I swear, they're a very, very happy little flower. They're very easy to grow. You just kind of throw some seeds in there, and a couple months later, you got a whole big garden full of flowers. It's pretty fun. I think I want to finish this before I do any flowers, though. I'm looking at my flowers and where they're at. I can kind of get them started, but I'm not going to be able to finish them. So I'm going to go ahead and do a few brush strokes here to kind of get them sort of going. Get that darker color in the center here. Okay. Yeah, I need to wait. All right, so let's get this looking a little bit better. So this zinc white is going to be our secret weapon on this, because it works well on glass, it works well on metals, but since it's transparent, it already kind of has this kind of softer properties where when you put it on, it's kind of doesn't tint as strongly as the white titanium white would, and it will kind of just add a smokiness to the painting. I'm going to use my paper towel and just kind of wipe off what I don't want, where I don't want it. Works good for fog and clouds too, so it's got just, there we go. So I'm going to use that there just to brighten it up just a tad. There's a little bit there where it attaches. There's a little bit of reflected light here coming down. Again, I'm going to use my paper towel and just kind of wipe the edge. Using that paper towel is a really great trick, because then you don't have to be as precise. You can just kind of, you don't even have to use your brush to blend. And this is actually a baby wipe. You want it a little bit damp, whatever you use. It just helps. Okay, see how that did? Nice, and then I can go back in and do some stronger. But I'm just kind of using, or you can use your finger too. Blend off those edges. good. Go over the top of the darker areas too. Kind of clouds them up a little bit though, so you just have to kind of know that it's going to look good. You know, you may not want to do too much of that. We're going to get some burnt sienna and some yellow, and I'm going to glaze. So I'm going to use that, wipe most of it off, get my glaze. A pretty good amount of glaze, but I don't want a ton of paint on my brush here. I want to be able to control this. I'm going to put that on here and just tint my teapot a little bit. I'm seeing some warm light in it. Yeah, that's better. Good. Just a little bit of glaze goes a long way. Nice. Okay. I'm going to use a little bit of the magenta. And you're going to see the magenta in here too because it's going to pick up the colors of the magenta flowers. So I'm going to add a little bit of that. Thank you. Wherever my flowers are going to be, I want to have a little bit of that magenta showing up. Again, the reference photo had white flowers, so there wasn't any of this magenta showing in the reference. So I'm just trying to think about where the magenta would be visible in this teapot if it had been in the teapot at the time I took the picture. Gonna get some burnt umber, a little bit of ultramarine blue. Okay, so just throwing in these other colors, keep them very subtle. You don't want them to be like, you know, really obvious. So if you do too much, it just overtakes it and it looks really obvious and kind of contrived. So just kind of be careful with that. Take your time with this glazing, do a very subtle approach at first, and then, you know, you can always add more later. I'm getting my titanium white now, and I'm just going to use this with this brush and just do some kind of lines with in my brightest areas where I know I want them to show up a little bit darker. Okay. And just do some directional lines with some highlights, just a few. There's some right up here on the tip of this. There, and then I already kind of did it here, but you can go ahead and kind of reinforce it there. There's a little bit of a line here that kind of comes down. Some lines that come through here. And then again, I'm just going to kind of use my finger to soften that up. Okay, I think pretty close to where I want to be on these. That's good. Oh yeah, and I forgot the one at the base there, so let me do that. Let me get some of this. A little bit of titanium, a little bit of zinc. So the base of it has a little bit of a highlight right there. It comes across. And it curves up. Okay, there we go. Okay, I just felt like that needed to be a little bit brighter right there. All right, so let's go back to our flowers now. All right, so I'm looking at the ones that are behind. There's this dark burgundy one that's back here that's behind everything. So I'm gonna get my Ultramarine Blue and my Quinacridone Magenta and add just a tiny touch of black. And black is great with magentas and things. It really adds a richness, darkens them up without making them look too dull, because it's got a little bit of blue in it, I think. You know, blacks tend to skew towards blue, and that's why when you mix them with yellow, they turn green, make a green, you know. All right, let's go ahead and do this one here. I'm gonna need to, I don't know why I left so much of this light color showing here. This is gonna have to be the main part of the flower here. I'm just kind of mapping out sort of where my petals are going to go. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to add just a little bit of this one that had a little bit of white in it. That'll just make this show up a little bit better against this dark green. Okay, so I'm going to set my brush down and pull back in. Set it down, pull it in. Pull it in towards my center. It's important that I know where the center of these flowers are going to be. So if you need to, you can mark that. My center is right here, because all the petals are going to go to that point. Okay, holding it up on its edge. And these petals have a nice angular shape at the edges of them, so that makes this brush a really good choice. Good, good, good. Gonna go over here with this. This one's gonna go that way. I'm gonna curve this a little bit more. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to keep that pretty dark like that. So that'll be pretty close to the finished color. I might add a little bit of streaks of lighter color in there, but that'll be pretty close to what I want it to be. And then there's another darker one here, but it's got more rounded tipped flowers. So I'm going to kind of use the U stroke and kind of pull in towards the center to get these kind of more rounded shapes. And again, knowing where my center is, so I can angle that brush back into that point there. It's really important. Okay, this is covered up. This whole half of it over here is covered up by another flower, so I'm not even going to bother to paint that in. That looks pretty good. And if you like painting cosmos, that we did my large flower series. My last one, I think, pretty sure it was the last one that we've done. We did was Cosmos. Was the Cosmos these darker pink ones. All of this purple that I mixed up earlier is gone now. Oh well. Getting some white here, mixing that in. I'm going to do these a little bit longer. Here we go. Just adding some lighter streaks in there. That looks good. Okay, let's go and use this same color. These ones are called seashell ones, I think, because they have these really interesting, like, double petals. They have these cone-shaped petals that overlap. So it's kind of facing away, so we're seeing the back side of the flower. Make sure you figure out where your flower's facing and kind of get the overall shape of it, so that this is kind of a C shape here. Okay, pulling in. There we go. We'll be doing other things to this, but this will just be kind of the base. And then we had that one. I'm going to make that even darker in the center. There was another little, I'm going to make this a red right there coming out. There was another one in here, but it's covered up enough that I might not put it in. I think I'll save it and see if I need it later. I'm going to get my white. I'm doing good on time. Okay. And my ultramarine blue, and that will make this a little bit more of a purpley tone. Kind of streaking it. Okay. A little bit more purple here. These ones are rounded tips, so I'm going to set the brush and pull it in. I've got this white area that I need to cover, so I'm just having to make sure these go to cover that white. He's sighing at me, so he's like the 1 hour is up. 1 hour warning. Big full sigh. Yeah, we had some interesting goings on at our bird feeders this week. Ended up with a murdered squirrel. We still don't know what went down, but it wasn't Fitzy that did it. It was on the security camera. Looks like there was a tussle between two squirrels. Cashmere, what is going on? What are you doing?
Showing off his pickle.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's sacked out.
Yes,
All right, getting some white here, mixing that same color, just a little bit more white. And this one is a very petal rich Cosmos. Got lots of fluffy petals coming in. They're overlapping this one. I'm going to set my brush down kind of more at an angle to get more of a pointy tip. I'm seeing some kind of not as rounded. And doing kind of an oval shape with it. But again, they're all going in towards the center here. Okay, looks good. All right. And then get my white. Got a lot of paint on my brush right now, so I'm gonna have to be careful what I'm doing here because it's kind of getting clogged up with a lot of paint. I'm gonna set my brush down and pull it in, and I'm gonna just try to get the overall shape here of the flower. Okay. I'm going to move this one over just a little bit so that I've got more room for this one. There we go. Try to decide if I want to change the shape of this at all. I think I might bring this one out just a little bit more. So let's get my magenta, ultramarine blue. Yeah, I think I can make this one a little bit bigger, just overall more loose. I'm going to make that little bit that's sticking out there some. Cover that up. Okay. Okay. It's kind of a weird shaped flower, but it's because it's kind of facing away from us, so we're seeing some of these petals on there from the side. Which makes them look like this instead of that, you know. So these ones here are kind of just these little triangle shapes right here.
Are you signaling the aliens there?
Signaling the aliens.
Signaling the aliens.
Yeah, yeah.
What is that? Not E.T.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Close Encounters.
Close Encounters. That's true. I forgot about that.
Sure you did.
I hate doing the second, they're double layered here, so I'm going to do the second layer here that's on the inner part and just kind of wiggle some petals there. Do the bottoms of these ones that are facing away from us, and then we'll do the little center of the flower right in here. But okay, I think that's pretty good on that one. It's not going to look like much until we get the centers in these, and then they're going to start to look like flowers, so don't panic yet. I'm telling myself that too.
Good thing you told me that, because, man, I was getting a little edgy.
You were panicking.
It's like, oh, man. And that voice, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did your brushes survive the long bath they had?
They actually did fine. I'm really, really surprised. I didn't really notice any long-lasting problems with them, so.
Angela does a Patreon show on Thursdays, and then...
Doing the darker magenta here.
And then this past Saturday was her monthly bonus video for her patrons, and she realized that she had left her brushes in the water
Since Thursday. Yeah. I don't recommend that.
No.
That's a
They didn't get any cleaner, for sure.
quick way to ruin a brush. Well, what happens is they crack right here because the wood swells up. And so they haven't cracked yet, but it's early days. It may, it may just shorten their life span a little bit. Using that flicking motion, flicking some of that darker magenta out from the center here. This is definitely where I'm feeling this size of this brush and wishing I had picked a smaller one. Not gonna lie.
You can do it.
No.
The expression on your face right now. There's going to be some words after the show.
No.
With herself.
No, it's fine. I'm fine.
No, but it's a good, like you said, it's a good way to show that you don't have to buy $1,000 worth of supplies to paint.
Yep. Didn't say it would be easier, but gonna use this green to fill in some of these spots here that I didn't quite catch. Oh, and I still need to do this whole handle here. I don't know what I was waiting for there. Let's go ahead and get the burnt umber and burnt sienna here, and we'll do the wrap of the handle with this. These were a yard sale find. I have a couple of them that came together. Or I bought them at the same time, I should say. I don't know where they got them. Little coffee percolators. It's got a little cap with a percolator and a basket that goes inside. Sorry, I'm holding my brush in my mouth. That's why I'm talking so
It's
funny.
okay.
Efficiency. Okay. I need to give myself some place to mix my colors here. I probably need some ultramarine blue too. All right, 720.
So while you're doing that, we'll just quickly mention the Patreon. And we were earlier, so there's several different levels. Right now, the $2 level, you get all the traceables for the live shows on YouTube.
Yeah, the YouTube public videos.
And then there's a $5 level that you get that, plus you also get a bonus video once a month, which is usually 3-4 hour video, a little bit more in depth.
And the finished painting reference photos and stuff.
Nice. And the $10 level is all that, plus a weekly challenge image where...
Oh, I just got paint all on my ring.
I was wondering about that. But anyway, there's a challenge image where she works on a single painting until it's done. A couple hours each week.
Yep.
And of course, with all those levels, you get all the content at those levels back to February 2017.
Yes.
So
here, you have to clean my ring.
it for you. Yep. I go wash it.
Good luck.
Dawn to the rescue.
Yeah. Sorry, hon. Yes, I'll show you what we're working on. Hold on. Get my hands clean here. I'm going to take this ring off too since I'm being so messy. So this was our bonus video. It's actually really fun. We tried a new, like, different weird colors and more painterly style on it. And I really kind of think it was fun. It's not my normal style. Normally I go more realistic, but I wanted to try something new. So bonus videos, we kind of do different stuff, try new things that longer videos that, you know, explore more long-term projects. This is the one we're doing for our $10 group, Animals of Africa. Almost done with it. I'm gonna fix the zebra. His eyes are a little funky, but yeah, so that one's been really fun. That's been a 2-month project. We work on it on Thursdays and just do, you know, it's more interactive, smaller groups. You can, you know, more not one-on-one attention, but you get, you know, more of more chances to interact, I guess I should say. All right, there we go. So this has also been given this a chance to dry. You really do need to let them dry between, oh, I just smeared that white all because of that exact thing there that just happened. They will, when you're doing these kind of brush strokes, they kind of go on a little bit thick sometimes, so you really need to have them clean. Thank you, honey.
Mm-hmm.
Got my ring clean. For me. All right.
I should grab
Almost
some
done.
snacks while I'll be right back.
I know. We haven't eaten dinner. You can tell you're hungry. All right. I kind of feel like I want something going off over there. So I might do a little bit of some petals up back there or some leaves or something, but I'm going to go ahead and mix up some green. Mix up a light green. And just highlight a few little bits here. A little bit more medium green in some places here. And cosmos have kind of that spiky leaves. They're like very thin and feathery, I should say. Not really spiky, but, well, yeah, kind of spiky. They're just these little kind of thin, feathery, kind of like carrot leaves or something. Yeah, that looks good. Make it a little bit darker here and do a couple of dark. Yeah. You always want kind of dark, medium, light. Always kind of work in those values so you're getting the most out of your opportunities to show depth. And there we go. That's good. Okay. Wipe that out. Get some of the burnt sienna and some unbleached titanium. I'm going to use the edge of this brush, just the kind of the corner of it. It's sort of like the dots, but only with lines, just kind of using the corner to draw in these little ridges in the handle that I'm seeing. And actually I did those in the wrong direction. These ones go this way. They go up. These ones go this way. And then as they come around the corner, they go upwards. Get some burnt sienna, or burnt umber, I mean. Do that with the burnt umber. This is definitely not giving me a whole lot of opportunity for detail there. Okay, that's okay. I think what I'm going to do is use that background green. To clean that up. Just going to cheat. Okay. And I just want a little bit of my lighter burnt sienna color right here at the corner. So it looks like it's sticking out, and then like right along this edge. There we go. So that brought that forward. See how those highlights pull things towards us. So now this darker area back here is going to be looking like it's farther away. I don't know why I touched my canvas there. I'm going to use the burnt umber and some glaze. And just kind of go along that edge with that. Darken that up. There we go. Okay. Just by putting the darker color on this side and the lighter color on that side, we now have that handle looking like it's twisted this way towards us. And I'm going to put a leaf right here because it's got to be covered by something there. It looks good. All right, wiping my brush really good and clean, and I'm going to get some white, pretty good amount of it, and my ultramarine blue, just a tiny bit. So I have a nice kind of very light pale blue, and then just a teeny tiny bit of the magenta, so kind of probably equal parts blue and magenta with my white here, and lots of white. very little blue and magenta. Okay, so let's go ahead and use this on these petals here, and I'm gonna leave some of that pink, but create these kind of ridged petals. And there's a big petal right here that's coming down, but I need to do the other petals around it first. So I'm going to get some of the magenta and a little bit of the blue. I'm not going to be able to do the really fine lines around this whole thing. I'm going to do a little bit of it, but I'm going to just kind of drag the tip of this brush to kind of indicate a little bit of this lining, but I'm not going to be able to get really fine lines around it like it's in the photograph. But what I can do is kind of do the darker color around the edge and then kind of put the light color on top of it. There we go. To kind of mimic that outlining of the lighter color or the darker color around the outside of those petals. Okay, there's one petal that's kind of coming in this way. And then there's some smaller ones that are in here. There we go. It's close enough. I'm gonna get my white. And going to do this petal that comes down. So I'm gonna it's cupped like this, so we're seeing the back of it like this. So this is the center of the flower here, and it's cupping up around. So what we're seeing is this shape here, and it's pretty flat right here along this bottom edge, and it's coming up around like that. And then these ones are doing the same, but we're seeing a little bit of the side of them like that. And then this one is kind of laid a little bit more open right there, going down in. All right, getting the white, really highlight that petal right there because it's closest to us. It's coming right at us. All right, then I'm going to kind of get some white and highlight some of these inside right there. Okay, that's good enough. Getting some.
Doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some color along the outside edge here, and I'm going to do like what we did the other day, double load it. And so I'm going to do these petals with that. And that way I can get that kind of color along the tips of them. And then I'm going to pull back through, though, because I don't want them to look too clean, because then they don't really match the rest of what's going on in the whole painting. If they're too, perfect and everything else is kind of more painterly style. So I'm going to mess them up a little bit, but that gives me a head start on them. Okay, that's good. All right, that's good. Good. I'm gonna get a little bit of the red and do a little bit of red streaks in the middle of the flower right there coming out. And I'm probably gonna have to go back over that one little area right here with white again. There we go. Looks good. Go ahead and do some white streaks in this one. I put out some fluid white. any color in my brush at all is tinting this white quite a bit. So just have to keep... What?
No, so that's a disadvantage, that you can't get all the paint out of it?
Yeah, it's just... Well, it's not that. It's just that, you know, when I do another petal and then try to come back to do this white one again, it's got these other colors in it.
Oh, okay.
And it's...
You have to like
darker.
completely clean
You have to,
between?
yeah, pretty much completely clean it to get it back to white that you want. All right, gonna use the Ultramarine Blue and my magenta here. Got some white on the brush too. Go a little bit more on the blue side. And let's do this one here. We'll save the little centers for last because it'll be like magic. They'll be all like, what? All of a sudden they'll look like flowers for us. All right, so making a little bit darker version of that same color that I was just doing with the magenta and the ultramarine blue. This kind of makes almost a purpley toned color. I'm not sure I'm quite getting the right tone for this pink. Get a little bit of white here. Yeah, that's better. Getting a little bit darker color out of it. But I just don't like that it's so kind of muted. That white really mutes the color quite a bit. All right. How's everybody doing tonight?
They're doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Chat's doing well.
Chat's
Just been
doing
quiet.
well. The unusual suspects are
Nice.
as awesome as always.
Nice, nice,
Welcoming in some first-time live
nice.
viewers.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's always good to see. Welcome to the newbies. And thank you to the longtime viewers. You guys are amazing, showing up every week to these for so many years. Some of you. Crazy. We've been on Patreon for 5 years this year. It's just, I can't believe-
6.
No, I think it's 5, right?
2017.
So 8,
right?
9, 10, 11, 12, 3, 5, 6. What?
Sorry, this is the Angela math portion of the program.
This is me having to use my fingers.
So we started in February
how I do.
2017, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
7 plus 6 is... Yeah, 17 plus 6
I don't
is
trust
23.
myself doing that with calendar math. Okay.
So for you new, just Angela's math is a whole different course. They don't offer in
No.
school.
For a reason. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we started a math channel on YouTube. It didn't do too well.
No,
No?
we did not. I was good at math too. That's the sad thing. It's like I got straight A's with math. I was an A student. I did algebra and everything. Even college algebra, I aced it. I don't know what happened. Just haven't used it. Got taken up by the names of Wiggles and
So this is the unspoken dark side of art. It makes you forget math. So So if you choose to pursue this,
Just know you're going to get dumber when it comes to
you just won't be able
math.
to do math.
It's the whole, my right brain is just pressing in on that left brain side, I guess. Taking up more than its fair share of the brain. All right, this is at the point where I'm like really frustrated with this brush and wishing that I had another one to use.
You can.
No,
What about
it's
you?
fine. No, I've challenged myself. I can do it. I will do it. It's just taking me longer than it probably would because I'm, trying to.
No,
What?
Starting to press into Oak Island time here in 20 minutes. So
Okay.
better hurry up.
I'll have to. All right.
You need an extra hand in there?
No.
Okay.
Got like 2 layers of flowers or petals here. What?
So one of our long-time supporters, Jazz, says for your bumper sticker, it should say "Screw math, paint flowers."
I like that. I like it. Paint flowers instead. Yes. I have found my people. So that's all I'm saying. All right, using this magenta with just a little bit of white in it here for the highlights in the dark areas here. I think I'm getting pretty close to just needing to start to put in my yellow areas and see what happens. So let me go ahead and get a little bit of burnt sienna, add that to my yellow. Make that golden yellow color that I'm needing for the centers. And we'll dab it in corner brush, remember? Very light taps. Lots of overlapping to get center. Nice. Looks good. Now it's not showing up here, so I'm going to add a little bit of magenta. And then I'll add white to some brighter yellow. But this will kind of give me a starting place. That one doesn't show at all. I don't like how that one's turned out. I don't know what happened there.
So real quick, which white brightens and which white dulls?
Well, zinc white you can use to mix. They have a color called mixing white. A lot of companies will sell this color called mixing white. That's basically 50-50 titanium white and zinc white, and it's like a softer mixing, I don't generally use it because I find it frustrating to use mixing whites and zinc white for mixing because they do brighten, but they don't actually change the value very quickly. So you're just ending up, having to use a lot of the zinc white to get any kind of change to show up. So I just find them kind of frustrating to use, but they are supposed to brighten without dulling the color. So, if you have the patience for it, you can use Zinc White to mix your colors, but you're just going to end up using a lot of the Zinc White for it to do that. I added an extra petal in here. It happened somehow. Just want to soften up these lines here. Is that cashmere?
It was my chair,
Oh.
I think. So Zinc White is a good white to help brighten up.
Yeah, the Zinc
Okay.
White will brighten without dulling your colors.
Okay.
But again, you have to use a lot of it to
Right.
have any kind of impact because it's transparent, and so it doesn't tint very. It has very low tinting strength. It doesn't do a whole lot.
And the tidy whitey can be used?
Well, titanium white is the one that dulls the colors.
Oh,
it,
dulls
it
them.
you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So if that's what they were asking.
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, yellow. That's what I'm looking for. Putting out every color but that. Yellow. All right, we are almost done. I would have been done already if I'd used a different brush, just saying. I'm not saying anything against this brush, but it probably.
There's a reason.
I almost did the six. I almost did the 6, and I wish that I'd done the 6. The 6 would have been too small for the background, but it would have made this part a lot easier. So it's kind of a catch-22. If I had just, maybe I should have given myself the permission to use a bigger brush for the background, and then just use a different one for the details. Oh well. But we did it. We're doing it.
We as in you.
We're getting there. All right, so getting some of this burnt sienna mixture, a little bit more yellow here. And I'm going to add just a little bit of white. And the white will make it more opaque. So it'll show up against the... Leaving a little bit darker at the bottom here. I'm pushing that brush a little bit more flat so I'm getting a better corner edge.
Kind of like deciding that you're going to play a round of golf with one club.
Right, exactly. You can do it. It may not make it as easy. You may have a harder time of it. You may
Right.
not quite make par on every hole. You know, but it's doable.
Like Nate Bargatze.
What about him?
When he went golfing with his wife and he took the driver out. She went to go
Oh,
to the bathroom.
Yes.
And,
Did
couldn't
4.
miss her tea time. And then he played 4 holes with just
Before
the
she came
driver,
back.
including putting.
People were like, what the hell is he doing? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that if you've not seen Nate Bargatze, his new Amazon special is hilarious. He's one of our favorite comedians. Really, all of his specials have been good. He just keeps getting better. But this last one, we were rolling because it was definitely my poor... It was about being the oldest child, and in a Christian family.
90s Christian.
90s Christian family, which was us, and how the youngest spoiled their parents completely. And, oh my gosh, just funny. And it's actually exactly like our boys, because Spencer came along 10 years after Nathan, just like Nate and his brother. And or sister, I should say. It was his sister. That was the youngest. And yeah, just funny. Really, really funny. I won't give it away, but it's really funny. Definitely. We were laughing, and my son Nathan texted me, and during it, he was watching from his house. It was like, it's like just substitute Sally for Spencer, and oh, great. We were so strict on him, and then by Spencer, we're like, what? You
can watch SpongeBob.
Exactly. It's fine. Watch it. Spencer came home, and Nathan came home, and he was watching SpongeBob. It's like, what the heck? What?
SpongeBob was evil.
Yeah, SpongeBob. He was not allowed to watch it.
As a child.
Mm-hmm. Poor Nathan. He wasn't allowed to listen to any secular music. Oh my gosh, we were so strict. And then, yeah, again, by Spencer, we were much more like, whatever. It's terrible.
Tired.
I'm not saying it was good or bad or what. I'm not a commentary on your choices as parents at all. I'm just saying we changed a lot between our first and last child.
We don't have a math channel. We don't have a parenting channel.
No. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm just going to do, because I feel like I'm kind of getting very tight in here, so I'm just going to do some loose randomness to kind of soften up the centers here, because it kind of did a pretty tight circles there, but if you look at the reference photos, they're not all that, perfect. So just kind of doing some different... This is pure cadmium yellow here. And fairly thick, so it's covering. But it's going over the top, or at least some of it is going over the top of the lighter colors that we've done, so it shows up. Okay. It's pretty good. I'm going to get some of this burnt sienna color with the yellow. Back in there with that. And if you lose all of your dark area there, then you may have to go back in with a little bit of burnt sienna and just kind of tap in some, or magenta, either one. Just tap in a little bit of random. Like here, there's kind of a circle inside the circle. Just go back and forth until you get it to where it looks good. And stop it every now and then. Stop frequently, actually, and look at it from a distance. So when I get to this point, I'm looking at my reference photo and my thumbnail on the computer screen, and it is the size it would be if I stepped back, and took a couple steps back to look at it from a distance. So looking at it from a distance is really important when you get to these finishing steps. I'm pretty happy with that. I want to put some overlapping petals in here, maybe kind of clean this up because it seems a little unresolved, but I'm pretty overall fairly happy with what's going on here. I'm getting some white. A little bit of the ultramarine blue with the magenta and white. And it's just kind of, there's some petals here that are kind of just outlines. Let's do the same thing here, kind of outline some of the petals. soupy for some reason. Try that again. Take some of the moisture out of my brush. What are you doing?
Somebody wanted to see
See what I'm talking about?
what you're talking about yet.
Mm.
So I just showed them a quick view of the OBS program that we use.
Yeah. Very handy. All right, I'm going to stop there. I can, I could go back and keep going forever, but I do a little bit just right here where it's kind of poking out the most. This one is supposed to be over the top of that one, so let me go ahead and make sure that that does that, that this petal, this flower is over the top of that one there. So any of the ones that you need to kind of do that with. I'm pretty happy. This one kind of turned out weird. I'm not liking what I just did with it. I thought I was fixing it, but I don't think I did any favors there. Yep, sometimes less is more. Using the magenta full strength here. I'm gonna get that color out. So I have no white here. All right, that's a little bit better. I like that. I feel like this one looks a little tight right here. So I'm going to get some of the Ultramarine Blue and just bring that petal down a little bit more right there. Like right here. Darken up that section there. Just trying to get a little bit of a highlight on some of these bigger petals here coming in. All right. That one needs darker in the center right here coming out, so I'm just gonna kind of almost glaze some color. That went farther than I thought it was going to. I'm going to go really dark in the center right here. If you do really dark and then really light, that will give you much more dramatic contrast. Sorry, I'm fiddling now, but these are the kind of finishing things, though, that can really take it to the next level, take it from looking okay to looking really spectacular. So very small little changes here that I'm making. Okay. You see a bit over here in this petal that I covered with green. Look at any of the petals that you need to change or add to. Didn't do a whole lot with this one. Could probably give it a little bit more love. But yeah, okay, there we go. We'll call that good. Probably could have added some white flowers or added some filler flowers if you want to. Spray of, you know, little white dots or something. I think I will go ahead and splatter it because I think that that'll...
Because?
Well, I like the look of it, and I think I did that with the other teapots, didn't I? Or did I not? I can't remember. I don't have them with me. Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't, because I want them to match the other teapots. So we've done 2, 3 other teapots in this series. Maybe 4, actually, now. I can't remember.
Yeah, no, you did it on the...
I did it.
On the blue one.
I did.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
But not on all... yeah, you did on the black.
Okay. All right.
Cast iron teapot.
Okay. What color splatters?
The cast iron one, you did a dark color to match, and the blue...
I'm going to do the kind of light yellow, I think.
Yeah. Looks like you just matched the theme.
Okay.
Any reason to splatter?
Yeah, hashtag splatter movement.
Hopefully Dave is still with us.
Oh, dang it. Look what I just used.
Geez.
I just, what did I do? I can't believe I just did that.
You just ruined the whole show.
I just cheated.
Cheater.
I cheated. I made it to the very end, and I cheated and was splattered with my... Oh, I couldn't have splattered with this brush.
That's true.
I couldn't have done it. There's no way. You get your splatters would have been too big. Let me see if I could have done it, but I don't think so. No, I can't even get it to come off. Yep, see, much bigger.
Splatters.
Okay, well, we can just pretend like I did the whole splatter with that brush.
Good job.
Oh, I can't even say I met the challenge. Well, I did. I did the main painting with it, and then I cheated at the very end with the splattering. But all right, thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed this. Just a kind of a silly, novelty idea. But yeah, hopefully, I think it was fun too. I enjoyed it.
And now she has
at
to sign
times
her
not
name
as
with
much,
it.
but
Good
I just noticed that I need to do a little bit of black at the very base of this.
Yeah, but good luck
to get
signing
it
your
over.
name
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll sign my name.
that brush. With that brush.
No.
Put down,
What?
I'm just kidding.
Could probably do it.
No, I'm not going to be. Oak Island is starting. Come on, seriously. We're already late.
We're already late. All right, I'm gonna do it.
Look at her go.
I'm messing it all up, but I could do it. I don't think I'm going to. I'm not going to. I'll take it back.
That's awesome. I love
We
you.
tried. I'm not going to do that to my painting. It's okay painting. I won't do that to you. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Bye.